How can you make primary history come alive for your class? Well, today on Resource Review, we're looking at 3 resources that might help. A CD-ROM packed with illustrations.
I want you to turn to the person next to you and I want you to talk about what you think those 2 people do for a living.
An interactive website featuring a Victorian family.
Why do you think they've put a poem in this newspaper?
And a book illustrating cross-sections of life in ancient Egypt. Find out how they fare here on Resource Review. Recommending today's resources is our subject expert Colin Hinson, a freelance educational writer. And joining Colin, we have Paula Richardson, a teacher trainer and also educational author, and Alan Mills from the Specialist Schools and Academies Trust. Well, Colin, let's start then with the first resource. From Indigo Illustrations, British History. Can you tell us what is this resource and what made it so special? Why did you choose it?
Well, this resource is a CD-ROM, and what you have on this is simply a collection of high-quality illustrations for Key Stage 2 history, just the British history section of it. What it has on there is over 100 illustrations that cover all those aspects of Key Stage 2 history, the Tudors, the Anglo-Saxons, the Vikings, and so on, and actually allows you to use those images in the classroom.
Okay, well, there were lots of CD-ROMs for primary history. Why this one?
One of the things that teachers have a real problem with is finding really good quality images that they can use and that their pupils can use as well. You can take stuff off the web, you can photocopy things, you can scan stuff in, but the quality isn't really that high. The detail that you get on these images is absolutely fantastic.
Well, let's see British history in use in the classroom. We went to Victoria Community School in Burton-on-Trent, where teacher Helen Mallon is using the Victorian section with her Key Stage 2 class.
In our history lesson, we're going to be concentrating on a resource, Indigo Illustrations, British History. And I'm going to start by looking at a picture on the board. It's basically lots of different history topics that are covered, particularly throughout Key Stage 2, and they're sort of categorised, and you use whichever topic you might be doing. In this case, it was Victorians, and under the Victorian category, there's lots of different pictures. There's Victorian scenes, people from the Victorian times, and like a chimney sweep. And with the picture, there's a caption to tell you what the picture is, and it explains a little bit about that picture. I started with the picture behind like a black screen really, which is used on Active Studio. You can quite easily sort of move it to wherever you want it to be, and by just showing part of the picture, the children guess what they think the picture's going to be, and as you move it around, their ideas change, and it does generate lots and lots of talking points. What I want you to do now, okay, is just, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, it's not a long time. I want you to turn. Listen to the instructions first. I want you to turn to the person next to you and I want you to talk about what you think those 2 people do for a living. It could be extended more to include things like sounds and maybe have some kind of web links and things like that in it. I would use this resource again alongside other things. I don't think I'd use it solely as it is. I just don't think there's enough there for you to use. I don't think that it covers everything to do with the Victorians, and I don't think that the information that's given is as in detail as that maybe you would want it to be.
Well, Colin, an interesting resource. We saw the teacher there perhaps saying that it's not that good alone, it needs to be used in other things, but at £75, do you think it's still worthwhile?
Well, I don't think it should be used alone, and I wasn't ever saying that it should be. It's not a full package on the Victorians. It's one particular strength, which is the illustrations. Now, the teacher was using that very well, I thought, with the interactive whiteboards and getting the whole class to engage with the images there. But nevertheless, I think the images can be used in so many other ways. You know, the children can use it in PowerPoint presentations or in Word documents and so on, so they can be used in lots of ways. And £75, I think, is pretty good, because that's the network license.
And do you think, I mean, we've got 100 images there. It sounds like a lot, but really, is this a resource that's going to be long-lived? I mean, can they come back to it? Can teachers come back to it time and time again?
Oh, of course they can. Once it's put on the network, then again, it's a resource that can be used again and again and again, and by different teachers at different times.
Paula, what do you think about this type of resource?
Well, Absolutely brilliant. Look at that. I mean, the quality of the pictures, absolutely wonderful. Just a little niggle I have, which I know some teachers would be keen to know about. Whilst they're used on the whiteboard, if you want to actually print them out, could be quite costly to get an image produced like this.
Well, it can be a worry. I mean, first of all, you can use these things on the computer. You don't have to print them out, of course. If you're doing a sort of PowerPoint presentation or something like that, which can be put up onto a whiteboard so that it can be seen, printing out is an option.
It is just an option, isn't it?
But even so, even if you do print them out, you don't have to print them out on the high quality sort of photographic paper or anything like that, so that could cut the cost down.
Alan?
Well, actually the printing out is the worst thing to do with it. I think the way the teacher was using it there is exactly the right way. On a whiteboard you need really high quality pictures. You can't cope with the line drawing off the internet. Excellent quality, and you can see the way she was doing it, you know, the concealed part of the picture being revealed exactly, and to do that on a whiteboard you've got to have fantastically high quality stuff.
Okay, well thanks very much. Now let's move on to your second resource, which is a website called the Virtual Victorians. Again, can you tell us exactly what this website entails? And I mean, there are a lot of websites out there. Why this one?
Well, the reason I chose this particular website is for two reasons, really. First of all, it's museum stuff. You know, this is put together by Tiverton Museum and other smaller museums around it. I'm a big fan of museums and the objects as teaching resources. But the other reason I chose it was simply because of the fun, you know, and the things you can do with this site. It takes you through the week and the life of two people, and it talks about factory life, home life, and things like that, but it also allows you to look at objects in 3D, so you can rotate them. There's all sorts of
Is that the
activities.
interactive element?
There's a huge interactive element to this website. You know, so many educational websites are simply almost like books on screens. That's not learning on the web. What learning on the web is about interacting with what you're actually looking at.
Well, let's see Virtual Victorians in use. We visited St Matthew's Church of England Primary in London, where teacher Jane McManus is using it with her Key Stage 2 class.
And they said to me, why is there a poem in the newspaper about Queen Victoria? Today we were looking at a website on the Victorians. It's called Virtual Victorians, and it's quite child-friendly, where the children can find out certain things about Victorians, their education, childhood, leisure, toys and games, which the children really enjoy. So we're going to be looking at a website, and we're just going to be finding out whatever you can about the Victorians as an introduction. Today's lesson, the children were in their ICT pairs, and which are sort of mixed ability, and they were given one sort of section to look at.
We're going on to the website and we have to find out what it was like for Elizabeth on Fridays.
And the website was victorians.org.uk.
Often with these sorts of websites there's a lot of information, and I think, you know, children, they don't have the patience. So that's why I tried to break it up so that each group were finding out about one area.
Why do you think they've put a poem in this newspaper? It shows when the Queen died.
Okay.
And stuff.
It's been put in there as a memorial, as you've said. I think they got to sort of get an overview of everything on the website, and then at the end they could choose the sections they were more interested in and go back and have a look at it. They may not have found out, you know, huge amounts about one thing, but I'm sure they all picked up a few key facts from that time. I'd say the pros of this website are it's colourful, it has large print, and the language is not too difficult. Probably the cons would be some of the links probably a little bit too informative and a little bit long. There were some games and some puzzles and sorting activities at the end, and I think, you know, that everyone in that room would have got something out of it.
Now, Colin, we saw it there in use with pairs of pupils. Would it work equally well for whole class teaching?
Yes, I think it would to a certain extent. There are always limitations with using websites with whole class teaching, but if you have the whiteboard and you have the pupils sitting around, then I think there are quite a few elements to this website I think that can be done as whole class. I think it's better as a resource where they are working in pairs, like the pupils did in the video.
Is there support for teachers to help them make the most of it?
Yeah, there's a section in there which is on the website which does have support for teachers, ideas about how to use the website, downloadable materials and so on. So there's plenty there for teachers to get their teeth into before they actually present it to their pupils.
Okay. And Paula, what are your views on this website?
Well, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I loved dressing the doll, doing the pictures, doing the puzzles. It was very, very good. One thing that struck me was that you could actually use it in class, and you could set work for them to look at home and carry it through, and that would be really rather good, because also you get families looking at it as well.
That's true. I mean, one of the benefits of this is that it could be used, accessed from home, and it's free. Is that right, Colin?
Yes, it's sort of 99% free, if you like. There's a little section where you do subscribe. You get a little bit extra in there, sort of what's called the sort of newspaper section there, where you're allowed to use it a bit more as a small payment for that.
How important is it that primary pupils get good at navigating through websites? And is this one that you think really helps deliver that aspect of their education as well as the history side?
Absolutely crucial. Encourage them to use it in a variety of ways, as that teacher very excellently is exactly the way to develop those skills. But it was part of the taught curriculum. It wasn't separate. It was using it for the reason it should be there, to develop the history skills. I think we all loved it.
Brilliant. Another favourite resource. Well, let's move on to the third one then. And this time it's a book, Egypt in Spectacular Cross-Section. Colin, tell us a little bit about this book.
Well, it's spectacular. That's all I can say about this. This is an illustrator called Stephen Beastie. He's done lots and lots of cross-section books. This is the second in the series. He did a first one on Rome, and this is one on Egypt. And it's about a little boy who goes with his father and with his annoying aunt and annoying cousin on a trip down the Nile. And on the way, they pass various places, the Temple of Karnak, the Valley of the Kings, and so on, but also ordinary places as well. So they pass people in a house, they go and see some agricultural work.
Let's have a little look.
Yeah, if we open it up, because this is the real selling point for me, this book, is the illustrations inside. Because what Stephen Beastie does is he blows up a building so that you're seeing it in cross-section, so you're seeing the interior and the exterior of the building at the same time. And the detail is extraordinary. And if there's one thing that a lot of kids love, it's detail. The more you look, the more you see.
So how do you envisage teachers making use of this book in the class?
What the teacher can do with their pupils is he or she can say, right, what we're going to do is concentrate on a particular page, for instance, and what I want you to do is find things.
Just quickly, Alan and Paula, do you think this concept of cross-section is suitable for primary pupils?
Oh yes, absolutely. They love to know what's inside, and the illustrations are superb. For me, I think it's a book I'd like to see not only just used in the class, but then put into the reading corner, where they can actually go and look at it again.
Alan?
Are there any web-based resources connected with it? I mean,
there is web-based resources that go, if you go through the Oxford University Press website. So again, the book and the web can be used sort of together. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you all very much. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today. But to recap, the three resources that we've been looking at are Indigo Illustrations, British History from Indigo Learning, the Virtual Victorians website, www.victorians.org.uk, developed by the Tiverton Museum and the Telematics Centre at the University of Exeter. And finally, Egypt in Spectacular Cross-Section by Stephen Beastie from Oxford University Press. For more information about all of the resources featured here today, and also to post your own comments about other primary history resources, go to our website, that's teachers.tv/resource review. If you want to, email us. We're at resourcereview@teachers.tv. Thank you very much to our panel, to Colin, to Paula and to Alan. We'll see you next time on Resource Review. Bye-bye.